What up, everybody? Treb the Pleb back with another one in my office. Finally, very, very excited about it. Same clothes, same day, pumping out 4 videos today. I have missed making them, but it was important for me to kind of set it up for success in the future, where I can kind of be away from everything, be able to just work, not have to like do it at certain times and make everything look better. Still got some cool things on the way to make the backdrop better and the lighting better, but for now, I hope you guys enjoy what I'm doing. Having fun doing it, and that's the most important thing. We are going to do top 10 comedians of all time. I just did comedy movies. It was kind of a shit show at the end, but we figured it out. I'm excited about this one. I've been a big fan of comedy. I tried to do comedy at one point. It's awful. It's not fun. I see why like comedians are so depressed and stuff. It's a really really tough thing to do, and people fucking suck. So I have a lot of respect for people who can do it at the highest level. This is of course comedy and like the same with like the comedy movies and stuff. It's all based off like your humor and things like that. So I tried to take that into consideration. Some of these people are not like people I'm in love with as far as their stand up, but I just respect the body of work, how well they did it for so long. Uh for example, I didn't put Shane Gillis on here, but he's by far my favorite comedian right now. Shocker, I know. I don't fit the role at all, but I think by the time he's done, he'll be in it for sure. But just as of where it sits right now, I think this is a good one. So without further ado, let's start with number 10. Joan motherfucking Rivers, y'all. If you're not familiar with Joan Rivers, you need to be. Joan Rivers was so good for so fucking long. Dirty, raunchy, hilarious, phenomenal shit talker. I used to watch the Fashion Police. I think it was what it was called. Let me double check. I think it's called Fashion Police. Uh, just because I wanted to listen to her shit on people. Yep. I just she was so fucking funny. She would go over like red carpets and just different appearances that celebrities would make and just fucking dunk all over their outfits in just the most horrible way. I heard like a lot of things about the show, like they had to cut out so much stuff because she would just say the fucking craziest things. If you haven't watched any Joan Rivers, uh, especially shit from like 15 years ago or so, like that was kind of I think 15 to 20 years ago, probably like her golden era. But everything's good. But that was like when she was top top dog. Like, she is so special. One of the funniest ladies to have ever lived. The funniest lady to have ever lived. 100%. So I mean, the rest of my list is dudes, but I mean, Joan Rivers could have gone toe to toe with any of them, especially in a fucking shit talking contest. She was so good. So you're doing yourself a disservice if you haven't watched enough Joan Rivers. At number 9, how can I not? At Williams. He was on top for so fucking long. The best performer on Wild 'N Out back in the day. His movie appearances were fucking amazing, and then his stand up is legendary. You know, the fall off, the comeback. Uh, it's been a rocky road, and he's still going. But you can't knock how influential and big Cat Williams was for so long, and how good his stuff was and still is. Uh, a genius mind for comedy, too smart for his own good sometimes. A little kooky, might have something going on, but in comedy, who doesn't? Like that's just kind of how it rolls. I think that's a strong number 9. Number 8, not my style. I never really got super into this, but one of the smartest men, and one of the smartest men ever. He was so talented at talking to a crowd. I found him more intellectual than I did like funny. I almost didn't even see him as a comedian. You know, he would sprinkle in like a little humor here or there, but it really just more sounded like a really smart dude ranting at me. Um, so I actually kind of doubled up my number 8. So it's George Carlin, and I put a little slash. I did that on one other one of these, the next one. George Carlin and Ricky Gervais. See, because Ricky Gervais had that same level of intellect, but his punchlines were just better, so much better. I think honestly, I even think maybe number 7 is or number 8 is a little bit of a disservice to Ricky Gervais. I think he could easily be in the top 5. All his specials are fucking ridiculously good. He is one of the most no nonsense, doesn't give a fuck, says it how it is type of dudes, which I know is like cringe, you know, like oh, he says it how it is. He's the realest dude out there, but he fucking is. He's fucking hilarious. Um and such a like good energy, giggly guy about it. He's fun, man. A huge Ricky Gervais fan. I think him and George Carlin, that like more big brain dude, smarter than you, obviously, but also so funny you don't feel like dumb, you know? I don't know. I It's hard to explain, but just so fucking talented, both of them. I think that's a strong number 8. I think they're tied. I put them in kind of the same-ish category. I think Gervais is funnier, but I think just their I think George Carlin and Ricky Gervais's style of comedy is so similar, and I think that they're both on such a high level and in such a high regard with like comedy that and in the whole scene, it just kind of makes sense to bundle them together. Now, my second bundled up. This is another one. If you don't know of the great Andy Kaufman, you are doing it wrong. You are doing it so wrong. Andy Kaufman. See, if this was my personal list, he would probably be top 3. Uh, some of these are, you know, I take a little more personal into it, but I just because of how few people really understand the impact Andy Kaufman had on comedy, it makes it really, really hard. And somebody I put up here with him that might surprise a lot of people, someone you will know, oops, god damn it, is Sacha Baron Cohen. Maybe. There we go. Sacha Baron Cohen, all his characters, all his bits, I was kind of more thinking like stand up when I did this, and that's why Andy Kaufman came first, of course, because he was a sketch guy and a skit guy, but very much still a stand up guy. Sacha Baron Cohen and him is the closest thing to him as far as his character work, his trolling ability. He Sacha Baron Cohen is the most one of the most underrated people. The way he's able to like pull hypocrisy and ignorance out of people and make them like look as dumb as they are is unmatched. I'm so happy I got to like grow up with him. I think he really shaped my style of humor, and one of the most talented human beings ever. If you have not watched any Andy Kaufman, him and Joan Rivers need to be the first 2 people you go look up after this because they are absolutely genius comedians. Absolutely genius. All right, number 6. R.I.P. to one of the greatest, funniest human beings to have ever lived. Norm Macdonald has to make it. I really wanted to put him in my top 5, but there were just some names above him that were just hard to battle with, just based off the sheer work, especially in the exact like stand up department. Go watch all the Norm Macdonald. What a dude! The OJ when he was on SNL. Like I'm not a big SNL guy, but the old days it was better, and you know there were those individuals who definitely carried it. Norm Macdonald's OJ Simpson coverage. It's like one of the greatest things. Like while the trial was going on, they had Norm Macdonald playing like a news reporter on SNL talking about it, and he would go off script. They did it so many times, they kept telling him, "Stop doing that, stop doing that." And he would go off script and just say the fucking craziest things about OJ during the trial. Go watch that if you haven't seen it. Go watch all the Norm you can. He's one of the greatest comedians of all time. Honestly, the more I think about it, the happier I am. I kind of wish I would have got him higher, but up next, a little more of a recent guy. He's been around forever, but Bill Burr, dude. Bill Burr is unbelievably talented, unapologetically himself. Uh, every single one of it. He doesn't have a bad stand-up special. They're all so good, and a bit of an asshole. That Boston Irish fucking dickhead persona thing. It's not persona. That's just who he is. Boston dickhead. But he's so great. His Philadelphia video too is one of the greatest pieces of comedy I've ever seen. If you don't know, just real quick recap. He was doing a comedy festival in Philadelphia, and they have the notoriously like the worst crowds. And I can't remember who went on before him, but he had a really great comedian on before him, and they booed him off the stage. They were booing everybody, just being a terrible crowd. So he goes out to try and do his set, and they keep booing him. He fucking turns on the crowd and just starts like calling them terrible shit, mocking the city of Philadelphia, shitting all over everybody there in a way that you would expect like a crowd that's already booing and angry to like turn on him and attack him. But instead, he did it for so long and so well that the crowd slowly and surely turned onto his side and started cheering him as he's shitting on them. Him counting down how much time he has left on stage during it is one of the best bits ever. Like, like just shitting on him. Then he goes, "I still got 8 minutes left," and keeps going off on them. It's almost like folklore at this point. Like one of the greatest things like I've ever seen a comedian do on stage. And just shows you how no nonsense and fearless Bill Burr is with that microphone. I think it's awesome. Uh, and he's still going too is the craziest part. So I think it's fair that he's as high as he is. He could even move up places in the future. Next, oh, this one touches my soul. Patrice O'Neal, baby. Another one. I'm sure if you're big into comedy and stuff, you've definitely had to have seen him around before. Uh, Patrice O'Neal. What not? He was so fucking funny to a level like every comedian that's passed like cross paths with him, if you ask them who the funniest guy they know is or ever knew was, it's Patrice O'Neal. His name gets brought up constantly by the greats of comedy, and for good reason. Also, one of the smarter dudes. You can go watch like interviews and things that he did. He was a huge free speech guy where when comedians were there was this is before all this woke or whatever the fuck you guys want to call it. I think it's stupid, but whatever you guys want to call people, not wanting you to say terrible things, whatever that is, even in the name of comedy or whatever, those people, whatever you want to call it. I think woke is a terrible word for it, but whatever. There was cancel culture for like a long time. There were people going on saying you can't say this, you can't say that, and Patrice O'Neal was the head man, front and center, fighting everybody in the most intelligent way possible, of why it's so important that comedians are able to make these jokes and do these things. He's forever a legend. Um, Unfortunately, passed away. I was probably in my early teens when it happened. So I never got to see him live, which I really wish I could have gotten to do. But yeah, the funniest people on the planet say this is the funniest person they ever knew, not much you can really debate. So all right, next. Yeah, you guys are gonna hate this one probably. It's fucking Louis, dude, and it's got to be the genius. He's a fucking genius. I get it. He fucking jerked off in a fucking hotel room, whatever, or fucking on the phone or in front of some people, whatever. He did something weird. Did something weird. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Um, Sometimes you got to separate the art from the artist, you know. And I mean, look at him. He's a creepy, sad old dude. You know, I'm sure he's done some weird shit, but when he gets on that stage and gets a microphone, it might be, it probably is the best stand-up comedy of all time. As far as a writing perspective, delivery, everything. He is kind of like the roadmap to follow in comedy if you want to be a great comedian. He's kind of the golden standard as far as all of that goes. I think the reason I have him at 3 and not higher is because of the scandal or whatever. You know what? Fuck it. Okay, we're doing this on the fly. Scandal. Let's see. Let's look more into it. Okay. Bad start. Okay. Okay. Let's read this a little bit, huh? And during the phone conversation, she said she could hear him masturbating as they spoke. Okay. Like how? Like he was breathing hard, or he was like flap, 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 flap. You could hear like that, or like I don't know. Hold on. Decade ago, Louis C.K.'s publicist Louis K. said the comedian would not respond. Comedy rose to fame. Blah. Her run-in 2005, she was working as a performer. Big step. He leaned close to my face. Gotta ask you something. He asked if we could go to my dressing room and he could masturbate in front of me. Stunned and angry, she said. Now, at least he asked. Okay. Maybe he was jerking off on the phone. I just want to know how she knew. Like, I'm not saying she's lying. I just like curious, you know? Like, how do you? What was he doing? Like, what noises were you hearing that you were like, this motherfucker's jacking off right now? Call, shut down. A fifth woman. In the late '90s, she was working on the Chris Walk show. Repeatedly asked her to watch him masturbate. Okay, so he has a kink for them watching him jerk off, and saying he abused his power. The woman, he masturbated desk chair during work day. So the door, I think the big piece of why I said yes was because of the culture. He abused his power. So did he like threaten to fire her? Okay. All right. So he's got a kink. I mean, at least he didn't assault anyone. Regardless, the comedy is so fucking good. You kind of got to step away from it. Yeah, he's no Bill Cosby. It sounds like he was asking for consent and then was maybe jerking off on a phone call one time. It's not, don't harass your coworkers and shit, but also, I don't know. It's not the worst thing I've ever heard of. He just sounds like, a deviant. Bit of a deviant. But he's a fucking comedian. All these people are fucked up somehow, some way. So I'm not gonna feel bad for putting them on my list or putting them at 3, and you can't make me feel bad. All right, number 2 had to come at some point. It's Richard Pryor, man. He did so much for comedy. Uh, and he's genuinely so fucking funny. I don't have too many like Don Rickles almost made it. There's some like older comedians who I understand their influence on comedy and how great they were at the time. I just never found them funny. Richard Pryor is the opposite. I understand the impact he had on comedy, and his shit still holds up. You can go watch his comedy specials and listen to his comedy albums, and they are still so fucking good. I have one of his comedy sets on vinyl. He's an absolute god tier comedian. Um I can't say enough good things about him. I think there's only one person that I put above him. and it's Dave Chappelle. Longevity, honesty, intelligence, punchlines, fucking stage presence. Like, it's everything. He's everything. He is, in so many ways, the perfect comedian. And you staple that in with the Chappelle Show being the juggernaut that it was and still is. Uh, you tie in his movies that were, or movie, I guess. He had the one banger movie. I think I think Chappelle's such a strong number one. And when I started making the list, I tried to think of so many people to put above him, and I couldn't. I couldn't think of a single one. Um, so glad we ended up getting him back. I think it was so big. I think he touched on so many topics and things that were very important. I know he pissed off a lot of people along the way, but you're not really a good comedian if you don't. So, yeah, I think that's the list. I think that's a good list. I'm happy with it. Andy Kaufman and Joan Rivers, Patrice O'Neal as well. If you have not, for any shape, way, or reason, seen any of their stuff, you need to go watch it right now. But that's gonna be it for this video. I got one more to make today. Thank you guys for watching. I'm having a blast. Um, Content will keep rolling. It'll keep being fun, different kinds of things. I must keep doing tier lists and like top tens and stuff though, because these are fun. These are a lot of fun. I'm open to debates. Debate me in the comments if you hated any of my picks or felt any sort of way about anything. And I'll catch you guys soon, man. Peace.